Hey, everybody. It's great to see you. And I see Kristen Norris, first one here. Awesome. It's great to see you. And today it's going to be a little bit different because I'm taking the approach of just us. So I actually have my phone set up for this because I know how odd LinkedIn can be. And then it's also streaming to my YouTube channel, which is at Susannah-Dawn. And other than that, I just want to make sure everybody gets that chance to get involved, ask questions. And today I'm going to go through a number of different topics. There's been so much going on over the past months, and it's just been amazing to see what happens. And at the same time, there's that anticipation for things that we want to happen, and it just seems slow, or it's not happening at the pace that we really want it to happen. So this is just a chance to kind of open things wide up on what we talk about today. And the first thing I want to bring up is gratitude. And I have a few reasons for making gratitude the first thing to start today's show with. It's something I've always found to be really important in terms of healing, in terms of starting the day. Gratitude and forgiveness, those are two things I've dealt with all my life, but it's only recently that I actually understood their importance to life. And so with gratitude, one of the things I want to mention is Dr. Constance Leland, CJ, has a request that she's put out for 60-second videos on gratitude, for what we're grateful for. And there's more details on her site. And I know she's posted about this as well. And you can always DM her questions. But these videos, she's asking for 60-second videos from us to talk about what we're grateful for, what gratitude is for us, especially as we're coming to the close of the year. And this is actually a project that came about after she was in a live stream with Ollie, and the topic came up and it became a project. I mean, this is CJ we're talking about. If there's a chance to create a project, if there's a chance for her to give us homework, she will do it. She will take the first opportunity whenever she can to do that. So that's what this is. It's a 60-second, no more than 60 seconds. The videos, her intent is to compile them and actually have them on her TV show on the last Thursday of the year in December. So it's only, if we think about this, Christmas is only a week and a half away. So 2 weeks from tomorrow is essentially when this will happen. So this is a chance to talk about gratitude. And for me, and it's something that I'm working on, I'm kind of figuring out how I want to approach this video. But it's something that, for me, gratitude right now, especially after some stuff that happened yesterday, is huge gratitude for my sisters. to, and we all need this. We all need those people in our lives who you get so close to that you know it's safe to open up about anything. And I know there's others out there who I could talk with, um, but we will all have that go-to person. And in my case, it's like I hit all three of them at one time with one message. So my gratitude is my three sisters, that I can tell them what's going on. And sometimes that's all I need. And that's all any of us need. We need that person. And CJ talks about this a lot. That person that you can just spill it. And sometimes that's all we need. You know how it's really a weird analogy. However, you know those times when you're not feeling well, there's something going on, and the minute you vomit, everything's better. And I use this analogy because CJ talks about it all the time. And that's how it is. That's how it is when you have those besties that you can be grateful for. And I've had so much happen this year. I didn't expect to have the books that I've written come out. And so there's gratitude also includes that understanding accomplishments and understanding that having accomplishments can be different than specific kinds of success. So this is something I want everybody to be able to touch base with, think about what you're grateful for, and then provide your 60-second videos for CJ. Get those to her. She's got the information. I know she's been posting about it. And show gratitude and talk about gratitude in a bite-sized format. Something else I want to bring up is the workshop that I have on Saturday. With this workshop, it's an author's workshop. I call it Author Level Up. And again, CJ was kind of instrumental in pushing me on this. But I love that about her. An idea comes up and boom, the next thing you know, you're doing it. And that's what this author's workshop is. It's 2 hours, and I have different ways that I've put this together. One is the full 2-hour workshop, where we start off with the author's page, creating an author's page, the importance of an author's page, so that I can guide through 2 places that all authors should have an author's page. Because the second one is Goodreads. Everybody's thinking Amazon. Well, Goodreads is another place that we should have an author's page. So everybody who's been in the anthologies, you've been in an anthology, you've written a book, that is one of the places that you need to have an author's page. It's a place, and Goodreads verifies that you are the author in that. It's a great opportunity to talk about you, your books, what you've written. And so that's all part of creating the author's page. And that's going to be about the first about 40 to 45 minutes of the 2-hour workshop. The second part is, it's kind of like the fun part, because on that second part, it's creating the Kindle document. You've got something that you've written a book, or you want to understand the process because you're getting ready to write a book. And here's something else you need to understand. A book can be almost any size you want. I'm getting ready to look at doing some, let's say, 20 to 25,000 word books, smaller, shorter. However, also important, because when it comes to a book, you can do a short book and it can be part of your business plan as well. The thing about books, especially the smaller ones, you could almost leave that as a calling card. You can meet somebody, you talk to them, you talk about what you're doing. So as I kind of look at you, Kristen, and New, as you guys look at, and even Mike, you guys look at what you're doing, what your focus is on, and if you have something that you want to write and you're thinking, oh, this isn't big enough for a book can be short. It doesn't have to be huge. I mean, some of these anthologies that I've done, they're not that long. They're not even 100 pages. Now, I don't know the word count, but let's just say if you're in that 20,000 word, it's considered a novella. It's a small book. It has just as much value. So being able to create that book, being able to write your book, make your document, and then go through Kindle Create to create the book, to make it Amazon ready, and then to be able to load it and go through the process, because it's not the easiest of processes to go through to load into Kindle. It's not always as intuitive as you would like it to be. At the same time, once you've done it and you do it a few times, then you're ready to start putting your own books out, put your own price tags on it, have your own releases, and have your own calling cards, because you design the book, you design the cover, you design everything about it because it's yours. And so this is all part of the workshop that I have set up for Saturday. Now, talking about books, I would be very remiss if I failed to mention this one that my dear sister Nick, it was her idea to put this together, and it is such an amazing group of authors who sat down and wrote a note to those to come. That legacy. And the beauty of this is it's not that people will learn about you in the future from secondhand knowledge or notes that you wrote to somebody. And it's like, oh, here's what Uncle so-and-so, here's what Aunt so-and-so wrote. And they're precious. But sometimes you don't come through it. And even what you do come through, you're not speaking to that audience of the future. You are speaking to a specific person. This book is an opportunity to, in your own words, talk about who you are, talk about what you did and life lessons learned that you want to pass on to the future. This, and the plan is that this is going to be annual. So if you didn't make it in this one, you get another chance next year. If you did make it in this one, you get another chance to add for next year. And there are more books coming. CJ talked about hers earlier today in her show, where she is going to have one coming out. The calls are going out pretty soon. Hers is 2,500 to 3,000 words, and we'll put this one together, call for authors, and this one focuses on living in the gray. And so many of us, that's exactly where we've lived all our lives. It's like some people say we're this, some say we're that, some say we're supposed to do and be X, and we know that we're Z. So living in that gray can be very difficult, but so many of us do that. And CJ's book, which is going to come out, we'll have the call coming out. I think it's going to be right after the first of the year, and a call for authors. That's going to be a beautiful book to be a part of. So hopefully everybody will be able to join that. And then I would also be remiss if I didn't talk about my duology right now. It's now officially a series: Search for the Armor of God and Battle for the Armor of God, which just came out on Kindle. So with Battle for the Armor of God, and actually with both of them, when you look up one of the books, you can actually see something on there where it will say that it's book 1 of 2 or 2 of 2 of the Armor of God series. So you can go to the Armor of God series, and that's an opportunity to get both Kindle versions if you want, and just combined as one. It's a place where if you've got one book and you're having problems finding the other, you just go follow that link from the one book, go to the series, and there are more books planned for this series. I already know what I've got in mind for books 3 and 4 of this Armor of God series. And I'm really excited to see how that's gonna play out, what's gonna happen, because I'm what they call a pantser author. I don't exactly plan what I write. I let the story tell itself. The story tells me what to write, and then I try to make sure that everything comes out as clean as possible. And so there's different types of authors, and it's something that I'm looking to make a workshop, or actually more of a class next year, hopefully in January, is a writer's workshop or a writer's course, a 1-month course to go into more detail of what it means to write, to create the stories, the ways to create the stories, different genres, and for people to start writing whatever they want. Maybe it's a chapter, maybe it's a short story, maybe it's the beginning of that book they want to do, whether it's a genre, a memoir. There's a lot of varieties there. And with the Armor of God series, that's what I've done. I've got this series of books where it just inspiration comes from the strangest places sometimes. You don't know when it's going to hit or where it's going to hit. And for me, this particular series, I was reading in a Bible study Ephesians chapter 6, which is in my grandfather's Bible. So as I was reading it, I noticed that my grandfather had numbered 6 different items. And my grandfather was a Lutheran pastor. And he was the only man in my life that I trusted, that I looked up to growing up. And I saw him so infrequently. And as a pastor, when he and Grandma showed up, Grandma did all the talking and Grandpa stayed quiet. So it wasn't until I was an adult that I actually had a real conversation with my grandfather. But 10 and a half years ago, I was reading that and I was trying to understand, what is he numbering? What are these numbers for? It took me 3 weeks to figure out he was numbering that there were 6 pieces of the armor of God. And after that, once I realized it, the thought was planted, and I believe it really was planted. I don't know where it came from. Can I make a fantasy story out of the armor of God? And that's where this came from. In 3 years, I wrote the full story, and it was so long, I had to cut it into 2 books. And that's what I did. So that's what is now available. And I wanted both of these books out by Christmas so people could actually see the full story and have it available for gifts and stuff by Christmas. So once I get my cover design finalized, and the paperback is coming too. But there's going to be more about the armor of God, because I have the movement of move beyond boxes and shine. And the thing about moving beyond boxes, all my life, I've had people tell me who I am, what I'm supposed to do. I was put in boxes for so many different reasons. And when you're trying to contort yourself to fit the box that others tell you you should be in, it's not a pleasant situation. And in my case, trying to contort myself, it also included losing confidence in myself because I couldn't be my authentic self. I had to be what others said I was. Or I would tell my dad, because I told my dad that I wanted to be an astronomer. That's what I wanted to do when I was in high school. All he ever said to me was, I don't see there's any money in that. So why would you want to do that? There's no money in it. There's no advancement in it. You need to go into a position, a business, a job where you have security, you have growing income, growing opportunities. And in his mind, it's like you have to go into construction because that's what he was a general contractor. And I had no confidence in myself whatsoever by the time I got out of high school. You're being placed in boxes, you're being told all this stuff. And it took literally a half century for me to finally step beyond those boxes, to no longer contort myself to what others said or believed, to what society played a role in this as well. And when I went into last year, going into 2022, and having my own reinvention, total reinvention, and walking in with the motto of no more boxes. That's what I did last year. And then as I got to the end of the year, there's that understanding that so many in this world, they can't help but see us in a box. That is why I've changed it to move beyond boxes, because it's almost guaranteed we're going to start in a box somewhere, somehow. Getting beyond the boxes takes an awareness of, one, that you're in the box, and understanding who's in control, understanding what role your fear is playing to keep you in that box. And one of the things that I haven't advertised it, but I do have one-on-one coaching as well on move beyond boxes to shine. And when it comes to this process, there's that understanding of what the box is, why the box is, what the box is doing, its purpose in our lives. And this is why I've also, in a number of my posts, I start using survey data, like how there's a survey out there by JobSage that says 3 in 5 of us are hiding something from our employers in the workplace. We've put ourselves in a box. We are hiding. We've built these walls block by block, and we spend so much energy to make sure that nobody can peek behind the walls to see what it is that we're hiding. And the thing is, when we do this, we're not being our authentic self. We're not engaging with people authentically. It's why I feel like there's just so much superficial conversations and superficial relations in the workplace, between people. And for some of us, we need the deeper connection, but then we become afraid to have that deep connection, to open up. It's like me. I I ended up being an introvert most of my life because to open up to people, to put my own ideas out there, it was quite possible that what I would say, my ideas, might actually break a piece of the wall, and somebody would see that which I was trying to guard so that I wouldn't be put in a box. It's like, I don't want to be put in a box, so I put myself in a box. I mean, that's kind of what we do. That's where imposter syndrome comes into play. All these reasons that we're hiding. It can be neurodiversity. It can be having a non-regional accent. It can be LGBTQ. It's having a tattoo, going through divorce, having problems at home, having a family member pass. All these different things, and there's so many more. I mean, even as far as race and how you talk, the way you talk, what you look like, having a birthmark, all these things that we're afraid of. If somebody finds out, how they might react, what they might say, what they might do, because we really don't know the truth of what's going to happen. We are conditioned in so many ways to fear the worst. Fear the worst, prepare for the worst, and then anything better is like awesome. And that's kind of one of the things that gets us stuck in these boxes. So when you're in this box, you're in this place that's you're stuck. We're hiding ourselves in the workplace. We're hiding ourselves from family, from friends, because we don't want them to know about something. And this is affecting our well-being. And the studies have shown that too. Our well-being is one of the first things that gets impacted when it comes to hiding ourselves because of all that energy. Just think how much energy you would save in your life if you didn't feel like you had to hide something from others. Now, here's another important aspect of this. When we have a workplace, when we have an environment where we can be ourselves, this doesn't mean that we have to start telling everybody all these secrets. That's not what this means at all. So I can imagine these workplaces where they're afraid that if they allowed people to drop the walls, that everybody's going to just start telling all their dirty laundry and just going to create fear. And the company's going to wonder what the heck just happened. That's not what this is. So many of us, we have no intention of telling anybody these secrets, what we're hiding. The thing is, if we don't have to hide, if we don't have to use that energy, then we get to decide who we tell. We get to decide what, when, where, why, how we say anything about what it is that we're hiding. And most importantly, we decide if we're going to tell anybody, because we don't have to say anything. Yet it reduces the pressure. We're not spending time on the walls. We're not feeling the anxiety of what if. We know it's a safe place. And this, I'll go right back to my sisters. I can say anything to them. They know almost everything about me because they're safe. And when I'm with them, that's where well-being grows. When we're in these situations, our well-being, our energy is so positive. And the worst thing that we worry about is, what if somebody finds out? So we decide if we tell people, and let's just say somehow somebody does find out and they come up to you and it's like, I hear that you're this or you're that or whatever, and they say what it is. You now have the authority, the control to say, it doesn't matter if that's true or not. It's none of your business. Done. The pressure's no longer there. You're not confronted by this fearful thing and then going, ah, ah, ah. You just calmly, because the pressure's off, you're not, it's like when you build these walls, you're building a dam, and all that pressure of everything on the outside coming at those walls, it just, the anxiety and the fear and everything just churns inside. But when you can release it, let it go, then somebody comes up, you let it go. If you want to say yes, you can say yes. If you don't want to, it's none of their business. You just say it's none of your business. We are unique individuals. And that's the importance of move beyond boxes and shine. It's to let our uniqueness out. It's to be our authentic selves. When we are that way, when we step beyond those walls, when we leave the box behind us, that's when we shine. Because whatever it is that we've been hiding, if you're neurodiverse, being neurodiverse, that may be your superpower, because you can do things that others can't. They don't understand it. They don't have to understand it. The thing is, you can do so much, and you can do things that others can't. We need to celebrate our uniqueness. If somebody says, oh, you're, and then fill in the blank with whatever you want, and they stick you in a box. And when they put you in that box, what they're actually doing is searching for a subset of a subset of a subset within that box for the one example that meets the narrative that they believe everybody in that box is like. They pick the narrative, and then they use that as the paintbrush on everybody. The truth is, everybody in that box is unique, diverse, and in many ways, they do not belong together. The boxes that people can put me in, I do not belong in those boxes, and I never did. And I never ever viewed myself in that way. So having that understanding that everybody in the box is diverse. They are politically as far to the left as they are as far to the right as the rest of the country. And I'll take that with pick an LGBT, because normally people will just stereotype, nasty words, they will stereotype all LGBT as being far to the left, progressive, whatever they want to do. And the reality is they're just as diverse on that spectrum as the rest of the country. You pick a group of anybody, they're diverse. They're not all the same. You lock them in a room, they're not going to get along because they don't have the same beliefs. They will have some pieces that might overlap. If you get Melissa Houston in here, she'll be doing her Venn diagrams to see where everybody intersects. But they're still diverse. And for many of them, whatever that label on that box is, they don't even see themselves as that. Because each of us is so much more than any label, any box could ever define. And that is the beauty of humanity and being unique. We were created unique for different purposes. So it's like understanding that box and then understanding the fear that we deal with. Because fear is always telling us to stay in the box. And this is, again, this is part of moving beyond boxes and shine, is understanding fear. You've got to know fear, what it is, how it reacts. And the bottom line is you've got to know fear's a liar. Now, I'm going to separate because I've seen enough people talk about in posts about there is a value in fear that keeps us safe. This has nothing to do with that. This is not that like early caveman, early human, fight or flight, all of that. This is much more of that social construct. It's why people put us in boxes. It's why we put ourselves in boxes. If you're in a certain type of community and you see how that community is being talked about on the news by politicians, how maybe they're being attacked for something, or they're just being teased mercilessly for no good reason except somebody wants to get a laugh. We need to understand that each of us is unique and different. And when we see what's going on around us, our fear is talking in our ear very seductively. You can't see it because it's dark in the box. Fear lives in the shadows, but it has a very sweet voice. So it is in that box telling us what will happen if we were to even look outside the box, much less step beyond the box. What's going to happen and how bad it's going to be. And if we do that, we're just going to turn around and run back into the box as long as we're alive, maybe. I mean, it's take your pick on what it can say. Inside that box, fear is controlling us. And when we look through the cracks, because these boxes are not solid, they have cracks. You can look through the cracks, you see what's out there. Those lies, fear weaves a web of lies that that's translucent, which means when you look out the box, the translucency of the lies blurs everything else, except for that grain of truth that it puts in there. You will see the grain of truth immediately. And fear knows us so much better than we know ourselves because it's grown up. It has all this ammunition to use against us to keep us in the box. And so when fear is telling us all this stuff, that's when we recoil because we can't see past the web of lies. This is where we need awareness. It's like we know we're stuck in a box. We know that we don't have control of our lives. Either fear is running us because we're afraid of what's going to happen, or somebody else has control, or maybe both. Let's face it, when you're contorting yourself to fit in a box, you're not in control, somebody else is. Whether they know they have control or not, they're in control. And you know that they're in control. You know you're stuck. You know you need to get out to breathe. But so many of us, we know all this stuff. We know we should stop at one serving for dinner. We know that we shouldn't go for that extra dessert. We know we should go for a walk. We know. What we need is with the light that comes into the box through those cracks, we need to have that awareness. We need to let awareness ignite. When we ignite our awareness, knowing now has a chance to be doing. And that's actually one of the ebook that I have on my website is Ignite Your Awareness. Because if knowing is half the battle, awareness is the first step. That's where we start to take the step. That's where we start to make things happen. That's where we can stand back and start doing what we need to shift our viewpoint of where we're at, where we can start making decisions and acting on them to step beyond the box. And it doesn't matter how big of a step it is. If you think, okay, I get my awareness and I start taking big steps and I'm out the box. There may be some that can do that, but for most of us, it's going to be little steps. It's going to be baby steps. Which makes me think of the movie What About Bob and CJ and ChatGPT, but that's a whole different conversation. But baby steps. And being able to start reinventing ourselves so that we can drop the stuff we don't need and we can pick up what we do need to move beyond the box and shine as we were meant to shine. And so when I talk about the one-on-ones and the program that I've put together, I do have a program that focuses on the armor of God. This is why everything that I write, and especially the Armor of God series, these 2 books that are out, it's like watching somebody go through this whole plan of moving beyond boxes and shine. Because my main character, Henry, he may be the eldest prince, and so he should be the heir apparent, yet everybody tells him who and what he is, And some people complain, like his dad complains that he's too much like his mom, and whereas his brothers are much more like their dad. And so at the very beginning of the story, we have two kings, and Henry is sitting there watching them decide his future. His dad basically trying to get him out of the kingdom, married off to somebody he doesn't like in another kingdom, just so that the son that is more like the dad will be the one to take over. So Henry's younger brother becomes the heir apparent, not Henry. So when they go on a quest to find the armor of God, Henry goes on his own quest to essentially find himself so that he can move from being stuck in that box to stepping beyond it and shining as his own authentic self, as who he is at his core. That's something that I use in one-on-one programs, the armor of God, because it begins with the belt of truth, the 6 pieces of the armor, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of the gospel of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the word of the Spirit. Now, some may start going, oh, now you're going to get religious on me. It's like, no. And I don't really do that in the books either. It's very much, these tools have, each one has a purpose, and that's part of the story. In this case, to move beyond boxes and shine, the belt of truth, especially for women, and that's one of the, when I talk about writing a short book, this is one of the books that I'm working on right now, is a women's guide to using the armor of God so she can move beyond boxes and shine. The belt of truth is that understanding, that awareness that we're stuck in a box, that awareness of who's in control. Are we stuck in that box because somebody else is telling us who and what we are? And I see this especially with women, to get stuck and be totally lost. It's like they know they're stuck, but they don't see a way out. This guy is telling them what they should do, or they're in a marriage and it's not the way that they were expecting, or they just feel like they're wandering through life with no purpose, even though we all do have a purpose. We just have to find it and grasp it. And that is that awareness. Ignite that awareness. Understand our truth of who we are. And from there, it's just walking through the pieces and helping women to have an understanding of themselves, of who we are, and being able to journal and move through the process to stop listening to those that are in control, to take back. And that's another piece of the awareness. Once you're aware of who's got the control, you also are aware of you can take it back. When we take back control of our lives from who or whatever has it, the what being fear, then we can take the first step. And like I said, that first step, it can be a baby step. It doesn't matter how big the step is. It's a step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and maybe a jump, and then another step. So it's moving beyond the box and shining as who we were meant to be. And this is the message that I am putting out there as a speaker with workshops. It's time for us, and my focus is on women. It's like it's time for us to take back control of our lives from whoever we've given it to or whoever we let control us or whatever, and realize that we are so much more than whatever other people are telling us. And it goes all the way back into high school and middle grades to understand that even as the young girls, to stop listening to the social media, to stop letting parents contort us to what they want. It's like you listen to your parents and understand what they're saying, but we have to know who we are so that when we go through school, when we get out and go into the world, go to college, go to work, take a gap year and go travel, at that point, we shouldn't have to be doing all these things to find ourselves. We should have an understanding of who we are by the time we're moving out of high school, instead of having our confidence shaken because of what everybody's telling us, or our fears that we're not skinny enough, we're not putting enough TikToks out there or whatever social media. It's like we got to be ourselves. And if that is ourself, great. But if it's not, don't let it rule the life. It's, it's time to make these changes. And that's why I speak on this. And something else that I just kind of want to put out there, like putting it into the universe, putting it in prayers. Um, I'm looking to go to, my goal is to go to San Diego at the end of January. I'm not San Diego, but Orlando at the end of January for Podfest, because CJ's like, you need to come with me. And I really want to do that. If I could find speaking opportunities at companies or whatever, and just show up and have this time to talk to a group of women or to a company, because part of what I talk about as well focuses on the company. When we're our authentic selves, our well-being goes up. We engage more. We're willing to open up more. And that's when the greatest ideas start coming out, is when we don't feel we have to guard ourselves. That's the stuff that for a company, when the work environment is really promoting well-being and people really feel it, they don't feel like it's lip service, that it's really true, that's going to reflect in the bottom line. A company may say, oh, we're profitable. Well, you may be profitable, but if everybody is kind of worried about saying too much about themselves, about what other people will say if they learn they overcame an addiction, that they maybe they had a jail sentence somewheres that didn't have to be reported. I mean, all this other stuff that we hide because we don't know how we're going to get treated. If the company really opens up the door and says, we're not going to worry about this, this is a safe place, and people start opening up and saying, yes, I did this, and they're not feeling a backlash because of it. Because there are surveys where some people said, in some cases, even a 50% felt like they were being overlooked for promotion. They were being given more work, or the women that once somebody found out they were pregnant, they're being given less work as though they're being transitioned out of the workplace. When the organization makes it transparent and equal for everybody, and the well-being goes up, the ideas flow, the creativity happens, and that's only a positive impact on the bottom line. So I put it out there to say, I want I am available for that last week, going into the last week, going into um, the first part of February, whatever, to to be there in the Orlando area and speak on this topic, to help groups and to help companies to move beyond boxes and shine. That's why everything I do is boxes to butterflies. Is once that butterfly leaves the cocoon, it can't go back. That's the way we are. Once I left my own box, I can't go back. It's not who I was. It's not who I am. It never was. And it's that opportunity to just cut the ties to the past. They keep trying to pull us under, and shine and move forward as who we were always meant to be. So that's kind of it. I've seen a lot of people that were here, and I'm so glad for everybody that was able to show up. Uh, Again, the workshop is set for Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. That opportunity to create a an author's page in two different places, because you need it, and to um, to just make your own book. We're in a world of self-publishing. One of the most important things with self-publishing, and this is something that I meant to say a little bit earlier, so I want to make sure I get it out now. Word of mouth. I mean, there are a lot of people who will offer their services to promote your book. Um, you can buy ads on Amazon and through Facebook and other places to promote your book, but there's no guaranteed ROIs on these. And you can sink thousands of dollars and not have a return on it. When it comes to self-publishing, especially, but no matter what, whatever the book is, it's really that word of mouth. It's providing reviews and having that support of saying, my friend is an author, they wrote this book, and I want to make sure everybody I share it, because um, it's like, here's the price tag. For me, it's my Kindles are $3, it's $2.99 and $3.49 for the two different ones. So they're not really a high price when it comes to the Kindle. So it's like support, because for many of us, this may be our only income to a certain point, is what we're able to write and sell. And that's how so many people, this is their lifestyle. And for some of us, it's like the writing, being a writer and a speaker, that is the calling. and being able to support and boost each other is how we make it happen. It has so much more when you've got friends and they share it and people buy and people and everybody starts putting in reviews and you're getting these 5-star reviews and you start getting a lot, then Amazon starts noticing and kind of pushes it a little bit more because it's seeing that people really like what it is. So the business of self-publishing is an interesting world. And you can either go in it and hire people to do everything, or you go in it and you work with what you've got. You work with who you've got. You It's a business. Keep an eye on the return on investment as an author. So with that, I want to thank everybody for who came for coming. It was great to see everybody. I know I didn't say everybody's name, but I tried to make sure I highlighted all the comments that were coming up for me. And I just want to say, I love you all for showing up. And please share with anybody who you know who would be interested in any of this, whether it's learning to write, whether it's reading, whether it's somebody who they could use a speaker to help boost people on getting beyond the boxes where they feel stuck. So thank you all. And I started with gratitude and I'm going to end with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.